A thin veil of mist still clings to St. James's Park, yet the mall crackles like a live wire. Coffee carts hiss, TV cranes groan, and somewhere beyond the palace railings a lone cornet runs through the opening bars of The British Grenadiers, echoing off statues, as if rehearsing for ghosts. Inside Kensington Palace the atmosphere is almost cinematic. Floorboards creak under the weight of garment bags. A private secretary whispers down a secure line, and Catherine, Princess of Wales, studies a thick bundle of cue sheets marked Trooping, Master Running Order, Confidential. She signs her name beside a brand new instruction, then slides the document into a locked folio. Nobody outside that room has seen the extra line, but word of its existence fizzes through staff corridors like a secret drumbeat. Whatever she has added, it will unfold in full view of millions at precisely 11:30 a.m. on the 14th of June, and that single tweak could tilt an age-old ritual onto an entirely new track. Only 12 months ago the question on every breakfast table was brutally simple: would Catherine ever return to frontline duty? Cancer treatments had wrapped her schedule in a hush of hospital corridors, and the woman once hailed as the dynasty's engine disappeared from public view. But what came next surprised even veteran palace correspondents. She re-emerged at King Charles's coronation, wearing ivory trimmed in jet black, the color palette of resolve itself. Paparazzi lenses caught a fleeting moment backstage, as she steadied Prince Louis's shoulders, then walked into Westminster Abbey with a smile that managed to be both private and defiant. And that's when things started to change. The recovery interlude everyone expected never truly arrived. Within weeks she travelled to the Clyde to christen HMS Alder, a task traditionally reserved for reigning monarchs. The bottle shattered against grey hull metal, and naval officers swore she murmured a line from Tennyson, something about broadening from the Strand before stepping back into spray-cold wind with sea captain confidence. Days later she swept across the Buckingham Palace forecourt for her first garden party since diagnosis, shaking hands with centenarians and new mothers in a single sweep, laughter ping-ponging between parasols. Reporters called it a soft relaunch, yet insiders detected a harder edge. Each engagement was calibrated, almost strategic, carving out a widened lane of senior authority in case the king's health demanded a lighter compass grip. Now Trooping the color looms like a slow-turning storm front. At its core is spectacle older than the United States: 1,600 marching soldiers, 200 horses, 400 musicians, all pivoting around a single square of silk, the regimental color, paraded so the troops may know it in case of battle. Londoners know the choreography by heart, and yet this year's cast list feels rewritten in invisible ink. King Charles, midway through an unforgiving treatment regimen, has agreed to ride in the Irish state coach. Cynics frame it as frailty, loyalists call it pragmatic courage. Either way, the moment he settles onto those velvet cushions, the spotlight swivels to the scarlet figure charging down the mall ahead of him, Prince William, heir apparent, saber tilted toward a sky forecast to be cloudless and unforgivingly bright. Look closely at that uniform. The rich Welsh Guards crimson was dyed in a single overnight run, after tailors discovered their original cloth bolt ran half an inch short. An emergency airlift from a Lancashire mill solved the crisis, with 90 minutes to spare. Gold aiguillettes loop across William's shoulder like molten rope, Jubilee and coronation medals catch shards of sun, and just above his RAF wings sits a tiny green pin, the Earthshot emblem, its debut at Trooping. One brooch nods to centuries of martial loyalty, the other whispers of carbon-negative shipping lanes and coral reef microfunds. Silent, but potent, a royal mission statement hammered into jewelry. While the prince fine-tunes sword salutes in Horse Guard's cavernous indoor riding school, Catherine's return gathers its own gravitational pull. Sources say she walked the full parade route incognito at twilight, broad-brimmed hat, trainers, a discreet security distance, just to gauge glare angles for her children on balcony duty. She requested the cadence of Highland Laddie be marked in the program, so Charlotte can discreetly count beats before waving, She had Louis recite the Order of March like a bedtime story until he fell asleep humming Coldstream. George, now tall enough to match his mother's shoulder, has been practicing a 3-second salute in front of his wardrobe mirror. He times it to coincide with the exact moment the King's carriage passes the Victoria Memorial, an echo, perhaps, of the bow he'll one day need to perfect as sovereign. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Beneath the rehearsal bustle, palace aides keep invoking something dubbed the Evergreen Protocol. Nobody outside the inner circle knows its content. Speculation runs wild, a sustainability pledge woven into the national anthem commentary. A hidden seam of recycled plastic in ceremonial uniforms. Even the band of the Coldstream Guards rehearsed a newly arranged flourish rumored to involve low-carbon instrument transport. Whatever the protocol contains, locks on document cases were upgraded, and printers now watermark rehearsal scripts with traceable microdots, measures normally reserved for cabinet intelligence briefings. Meanwhile, tension flickers across the Atlantic. Just hours after trooping confirmation hit London's wires, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, announced she will receive a humanitarian award in Los Angeles that same evening. Some tabloids holler rivalry. A cooler reading says the Windsor narrative is now a stereo track, 2 continents, 1 family brand, each branch claiming a moral stage. Expect split-screen coverage, William on horseback beneath ancient stone, Meghan on a crimson carpet beneath California floodlights. Algorithms will feast, viewers will choose which glow feels more compelling. Back in Whitehall, drums of the massed bands rehearse beneath flood lamps that make their brass instruments flare like miniature suns. Contingency planners pace with clipboards of code phrases. Should the king falter mid-salute, a bugle call nicknamed Silver Regent will cue Princess, and to advance her horse 1 length, masking any interval. If late morning heat threatens dehydration, footmen disguised as standard bearers will close around the carriage, providing shade while medical staff administer electrolyte spray. No detail is too small. Even the lace curtains behind which the Wales children wait have been replaced with light filter film to prevent squinting on camera. And still the intrigue deepens. 2 nights ago, royal courtiers spotted Catherine slipping into the V&AS storehouse for a covert consultation. She wore a midnight navy Alexander McQueen trouser suit and stilettos audacious enough to test the museum's grated floors. Her tour overran by 30 minutes, captivated by a William Morris screen. The twist here is extraordinary, she told curators, eyes glinting with intellectual delight. When the museum director joked about her perilous footwear, she laughed, then made a note in the small leather journal she carries everywhere. A habit, aides say, picked up during the solitude of treatment. Capture observations quickly, sculpt them into projects later. Meanwhile, King Charles refuses to be a spectral presence. Insiders swear lights burned in his study past midnight, as he reviewed the final cavalry drill from the palace east terrace, field glasses trained on glittering breastplates under arc lights. That stoic silhouette, elder monarch, medical bracelet hidden by cufflink, recalls George VI overseeing trooping in 1951 while battling terminal illness. 12 months later, Elizabeth II took the throne. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes in uncanny cadences. Even the RAF fly-past carries narrative weight. Weather permitting, the climax will mix eras never before paired. A lone Battle of Britain Spitfire flanked by 4 stealthy F-35 Lightnings, roaring across the skies in a formation dubbed Legacy Arrow. Engineers designed the maneuver so jet exhaust drafts won't destabilize the vintage craft, symbolism calibrated to the centimeter. One engine notes the monarchy's World War II grit. The other points to its future-proof role as global convener on climate security. T-24 hours, and Londoners queue along the mall, staking out railings with lawn chairs and umbrellas. TikTokers rehearse commentary intros, bookmakers adjust odds on Louis performing a pirouette, Souvenir vendors unload crates of plush Welsh Guard bears in uniforms that mirror William's down to the micro-stitched earthshot pin. The entire city feels like a stage vibrating under invisible orchestral tuning. But the keenest eyes will be tracking balcony dynamics. Will Catherine give subtle stage direction, hand on George's back, gentle nod toward Charlotte, echoing Elizabeth II's century-long mastery of silent cues? Will the king's smile stretch wider when he catches William's post-salute glance, confirming the air handled the parade's gravitational weight? And will Queen Camilla rest her gloved fingertips on Charles's arm, in an unspoken vow of partnership, as the red arrows carve their tricolor arc? Body language analysts stand ready to freeze-frame millisecond gestures for meaning. Then there is the wild card. Whispered along news desks is the rumor of a balcony cameo by Lady Louise Windsor, fresh from university finals, and newly enthusiastic about stepping into the public eye after years of teenage discretion. If she appears, photographers will scramble. Here's the quietly confident granddaughter, who drives horse carriages inherited from Prince Philip, and, some say, could become the monarchy's ace of hearts, should younger cousins ever choose private careers. One final thread tightens the suspense. Multiple sources claim that after the parade Catherine will release an unannounced social media video shot inside the center room, part reflection, part thank you, filmed in a single handheld take during rehearsals. The footage allegedly ends with her turning the camera toward George, Charlotte and Louis as they practice their balcony wave by moonlight, half giggling, half awestruck by the echo of their own voices in the cavernous space. If true, it would be the most intimate royal behind-the-scenes clip since Elizabeth II's 1953 Coronation Home movies, proof that 21st century royalty need not choose between mystique and authenticity. It can wield both like twin blades. So mark the moment clocks hit 11:30 a.m. on the 14th of June. The Life Guard's kettle drums will thunder, scarlet ranks will surge, and one family, fractured, resilient, impossibly watched, will perform its annual negotiation between past and future on the grandest open-air stage monarchy has ever built. Will William's flawless ride crystallize public confidence in a transition that could arrive sooner than anyone dares admit? Will Catherine's poised return shift her from cultural icon to constitutional pillar? And will the king's decision to sit rather than ride redefine bravery for an age that prizes transparency over triumphalism? If those questions make your pulse quicken, hit like right now, because we will be streaming every hoofbeat, every salute, every microglance the moment it happens. Subscribe, ring that bell, and keep your screen unlocked. Trooping Day's smallest detail can ripple through history like a pebble tossed into the Thames, and the only way to grasp its full arc is to watch until the last plume of jet smoke fades against the summer sky. Intrigue isn't just promised, it's marching straight toward us in immaculate formation.